Hurricane Milton has left a path of devastation in Florida, and Floridians are picking up the pieces after Milton has done extreme damage. 9 people have lost their lives, and over 3 million people are without electricity in Florida. Tyrone Bowman Live. Welcome to a series program on this afternoon. I want to talk about what's happening down in Florida and also an article about FEMA. They're spending a lot of money down in the area. So, according to USA Today, Hurricane Milton howled across the Florida peninsula on Thursday, tearing a path of destruction from the Gulf of Mexico to the Atlantic, killing at least 9 people and knocking out power to millions, yet averting the worst case scenario. Meteorologists, officials, and residents had feared. Milton did not go quietly, though, flooding neighborhoods, destroying homes, ripping the roof off a major sports venue, and toppling a massive crane into an office building. 2 deaths were confirmed in St. Petersburg, one in Volusia County, another in Polk County, and 5 in St. Lucie County on Florida's east coast following tornadoes there. Power outages inched higher during the day as the storm exited off the eastern coast of the state, and more than 3.2 million homes and businesses were in the dark without electricity, according to PowerOutage.us. The storm was significant, but thankfully this was not the worst case scenario, Governor Ron DeSantis said at a briefing Thursday. He cited the storm weakening before landfall and said the storm surge, as initially reported, had not been as significant overall as what was observed for Hurricane Helene. DeSantis said Tampa expected a reverse storm surge that drove water away from the shoreline. Rather than overwhelming the city, the Florida Division of Emergency Management, in a post on social media, warned residents not to walk out into receding water because the water will return through storm surge and poses a life-threatening risk. Milton's powerful assault comes 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene slammed into the Florida coast on its way to devastating communities across at least several states. Milton made landfall at about 8:30 p.m. Wednesday on the state's western coast, a Category 3 hurricane with 100 and miles per hour sustained winds amid a flurry of tornadoes it spanned. The center of Milton was pulling away from Florida on Thursday. The storm was 135 miles east of Cape Canaveral, moving at 20 miles per hour with 80 miles per hour sustained winds. The National Hurricane Center said in its 11 a.m. update. Pasadena Hospital and St. Petersburg was temporarily shut down as HCA Florida Healthcare evacuated hundreds of patients from hospitals and mandatory evacuation zones. One hard-hit Siesta Key, where the storm's eye came ashore, authorities closed bridges to the island but allowed worried residents to walk across a bridge to check their homes. Many homes and other buildings were seriously damaged by Helene 2 weeks ago, and some residents had only just finished cleaning up from the storm before Milton slammed into the island. "Oh my God, I don't even want to see what my house looks like," said Maria Williams, who is 48, as she tried to figure out how to get past mucky water covering portions of the island's main thoroughfare. Mid-Pass Road, Williams said she had planned to ride out Helene, but fled when waters entered her house. She said she went to the mainland from Milton. "I'm so traumatized. I was like, I have to get the heck out of here," she said. Later, Williams said her house seemed okay, although there were trees down everywhere. But the 1-2 punch of the storm left her frustrated. "I just wish the whole house would wash away," she said. At least one person died in Volusia County, and more are being rescued from Milton's aftermath. Volusia Emergency Management Director Clint Merchant said the death happened in Ormond Beach, where a tree fell through a roof. Officials did not release the victim's identity. The Polk County Sheriff's Office confirmed one death related to Milton in a traffic accident in the southern half of the county. In addition, two deaths related to Milton were reported in St. Petersburg, a police official said at a news conference Thursday. St. Petersburg Chief of Police Anthony Holloway described one death as a medical related incident. The other involved someone that was found in a park, he said, adding that he had not received the cause of death from the medical examiner's office. Please stay off the roads, the police department said in a social media post. Traffic lights are out and trees are down everywhere. It's very dangerous until we can clear the roads. President Joe Biden forcefully condemned the spreading of misinformation about Hurricanes Helene and Milton, warning Thursday that outright lies are keeping victims from seeking help they need. Those who engage in such lies are undermining confidence in the rescue and recovery work that's opening and ongoing, Biden said after receiving an update on the damage caused by Milton in Florida. Some workers involved in the rescue and recovery efforts have received death threats as a result of reckless, irresponsible, and relentless disinformation and outright lies, Biden said. Former President Donald Trump is among those who have made false claims in the wake of Hurricane Helene. Biden ended his remarks by addressing Trump directly. Former President Trump, get a life, man. Help these people, he said. You know, it's really sad, and I'll continue to read the article, that all Trump can do is tell lies and try to exploit any set of circumstances or situations thinking it's going to help him to get elected. Governor Ron DeSantis refused a phone call from Vice President Kamala Harris, which I think is stupid. And then in another video, I'm going to show you all the Republicans who voted against the emergency disaster relief. And every one of their areas were hit by this hurricane. How dumb they are. Because you want to be on the side of Trump and you don't want to receive any money from the Biden administration, and now the area that you represent is going through a disaster situation, and you don't even have the guts to tell your constituents that you are primarily responsible for them for not getting the help that they need in times of emergency, in times of disaster. This is when the nation needs to come together, putting politics aside, racism and bitterness aside. It's about helping humanity. Lives are lives. Irregardless of whether they're rich or poor, black or white, learned or unlearned, a life is a life. Katie Williams of St. Petersburg said Hurricane Milton was by far the worst storm she ever experienced. The single mother wanted to evacuate, but said a rare eye condition forced her to shelter in her section floor apartment with her 10-year-old daughter. Kylie and her adopted cat Honey. I hope and pray that they're okay. Williams, who was 32, said it felt at one point as if the winds were shaking the house. After the power went out around 8 p.m., she lit candles so they wouldn't be in the dark. Then her water went out, and she lost cell service. On Thursday, Williams ventured outside to check on her neighbors. She said there were trees down everywhere and countless power poles that had collapsed in Palm Harbor. Debbie Pace emerged from her home Thursday, curious to see what damage Milton had inflicted. From midday Wednesday, she and her family had hunkered down in their boarded-up home just north of Clearwater. The power went out, and for several hours, the wind sustained a furious howl that didn't let you breathe, said Pace, who is 52. The wind was scary, and she said, I could tell my kids were getting a little nervous. They would tell me to look outside now and again, and when we were playing Candyland and Chutes and Ladders. When she lost a section of her fence and tree limbs littered the neighborhood, Pace said the damage was not as bad as she had anticipated. Her main worry now is power won't be restored before flood in her fridge spoils, or food rather, in her fridge spoils. I ordered a generator a few days ago, but it kept getting delayed, she said. It says it's getting delivered Friday, but I don't think that's going to happen. In the Granada neighborhood of Sarasota, Ron Collins watched as his wife picked up and cut up tree branches with an electric saw Thursday morning. The couple remained in their home during the storm, even though it was in a mandatory evacuation area because Collins designed the house for a worst case scenario. A now retired structural engineer who uses a power wheelchair, Collins said being unable to walk uh, factored into their decision to stay for Milton. He preemptively had charged several spare batteries for his wheelchair to prepare for losing power. Battery management has become my life, said Collins, who is 68. We did have a conversation about whether to evacuate when it was Category 4, looking like maybe becoming a Category 5, Collins said. But the human condition is that when it comes to evacuate, it's too soon to know whether you really need to evacuate. The couple moved into the single story concrete home in 2012. The roof is clad. I'm not going to read all that. DeSantis said uh, Thursday dozens of rescues had taken place and more underway. He said he expected bridges, gas stations, and big box stores that have been forced to close will be opening. How about this, Governor? You know, you're really stupid. I just said you're really stupid. You are trying to take credit and you're trying to act like as if everything is okay, but you rejected the help from President Biden. You rejected the call from Vice President Harris. You rejected much needed money coming into Florida at this time to help those who probably don't have insurance, those who are in low income housing areas, those who nobody will care about, but you don't care about them because you only care about political expediency. And all this is going to backfire in the upcoming election in November. You, Trump, and all these people, all you can do is verbiage, spew verbiage after verbiage after verbiage against Vice President Kamala Harris. See how well it works out for you on election day. Dr. Megan Martin, a pediatric emergency physician in St. Petersburg, worked through the night as Hurricane Milton made landfall along the Gulf Coast and roared across the state. At the hospital with her children, Martin said evidence of Milton's power was visible across the area. This is a doctor that is a hero. This is a doctor that is a humanitarian. And this is a doctor that should be recognized as such. Thank you, Dr. Megan Martin. We know this is not an easy thing for you to be doing, but thank you on behalf of grateful men and women down in Florida. Martin said she occasionally logged into cameras set up outside her home to see whether floodwater stepped inside, as it had during Hurricane Helene. Martin, who runs a popular TikTok account, said she and most of the St. Petersburg area were spared from the storm surge, though the wind was ferocious. I could barely watch the trail cam because of the wind, the rain, and the projectiles that were rolling by, she said. It was just impossible to see. Storms that make landfall to the south of Tampa usually mean less storm surge for Tampa. Because Milton roared ashore with its center of circulation just a little over 20 miles to the south, especially vulnerable Tampa Bay narrowly averted the most catastrophic storm surge. While water crocketed higher at tide gouges along the coast south of Siesta Key and Sarasota, as Milton made landfall Wednesday, gauges plunged around the bay. Storm surge can happen near and to the right of where a storm makes landfall, but negative water levels can occur to the left of the landfall location, Weather Service meteorologist Ernie Gillison has said. Bays are more susceptible because they are like a bowl of water, Gillison told USA Today. They're protected by land on all sides except one. So that's why they're so susceptible to being emptied out. Now, in Punta Gorda, 100 miles of south, residents woke Thursday to find Milton's fierce winds and storm surge were powerful enough to deposit large sailboats on front lawns. The city perched on the Peace River and Charlotte Harbor also faced flooded neighborhoods and scattered piles of debris still sitting at the curbs after Hurricane Helene barely 2 weeks ago. Some homes had broken water lines and the town's water was out. So once again, President Joe Biden spoke Thursday morning with DeSantis. It's about time. About the impacts of Hurricane Milton. The White House said in a statement DeSantis told the president that officials are still assessing the damage across the state. And Biden reiterated that he would provide whatever support is needed to speed up the response and recovery, the statement said. FEMA Administrator Chris Well participated in the call and will be surveying the impact with the governor, which probably has already taken place by now. This article is too lengthy, and I'm not going to continue to read it. But ladies and gentlemen, what I'll do, I will keep you updated here on Tyrone Bowman Live as to what's going on down in Florida, and hopefully and prayerfully that those who really need emergency help will get the help that they need. And thank God for the American Red Cross and other nonprofit organizations who do great work. So please subscribe to Tyrone Bowman Live, and I'll keep you updated. Never surrender, never quit.